Good evening. I'm Vabren with Psychiatric News, and we just finished the event Transcendence and Resilience Following Trauma. And tonight we have with us Dr. Anita Everett, Division Director of the Community and General Psychiatry at Johns Hopkins Bayview. Dr. Everett, how are you?
Fine, thank you.
Thank you for agreeing to interview with us tonight.
Sure.
So you grew up in Huntsville, Alabama, which is an hour north of Birmingham. I'm from Tuscaloosa, which is an hour west.
Yeah.
So, in today's subject was about being traumatized after the 16th Street Baptist Church bombing. And I know we talked about African Americans being traumatized, but I think we did not touch on how other people outside of the African American ethnicity were also traumatized. And you spoke of your father, and could you elaborate on your story?
So in September of 1963, we lived in Huntsville, Alabama, and we had moved there because my father was to become the manager of a downtown department store. The store had a policy that didn't allow African Americans to participate in the lunch counter that was there, and had separate water fountains in the back of the store, and also had separate bathrooms that were there. And as my father was kind of learning the lay of the land in the store and the policies, he also had occasion to notice that as people were leaving the store, occasionally some of the African American customers would have the shopping bags that they were brought out from the store turned over. Someone would run by, turn the bags over, and scatter the things that they bought on the street as a way to kind of intimidate people who would shop in the store because of the policies of the store. Many of the other stores in the downtown area had signs out in front of the stores that even did not allow African Americans to shop in the stores at all. And so as he was kind of learning the lay of the land, someone called him at the beginning, in the first week or so that he was there, and said, we're from the African American leadership from the movement in town, and we want to know if this is going to be your policy as well. So he set up a meeting with those individuals. At the time, the retail managers had a lot of flexibility in how the policies were, and also the kind of merchandising they had and things like that. The managers had a lot more autonomy in management. And so my father met with those individuals. And they made a day that they would plan for to have customers, African American customers, come into the lunch counter. And he had a meeting with the store employees the day of the meeting and talked to them about what was going to happen. In the context of the store meeting, a couple of the employees said they didn't want to, they couldn't work in those kind of environments, and they weren't willing to serve African American. And so my father, told them that was the way the store was going to be from that day forward, and if they didn't want to work as, waiting on anybody that came in, no matter what kind of person they were or what color their skin was, that they wouldn't have a job there anymore. And so a couple of people actually left the store on that day. So the day came, everything was kind of quiet, and a lot of plainclothes policemen were in the store that day, kind of as extra security, and actually nothing happened. The people came in, they were served, they ordered, got their special orders, and whatever they wanted, paid, left, and that was kind of what happened. That night, my father had hired a crew to come in and kind of take down anything that had anything to do with the barricade that was around the lunch counter, also the signs over the water fountains in the back of the store and the restrooms. And the next day, things moved forward, and that was kind of part of the way he tells the story. Later, he got a call in the middle of the night, and what we believe was probably the KKK threatening him if this was the policy, the way it was going to be, that he'd better watch his back, that that didn't suit well with a lot of people that lived in Alabama. But he sort of stayed with the policy, and it was a real concern at the time because the KKK and people of that belief, did a lot of night maneuvers, a lot of threats that they made to individuals. But he stayed with that.
So tonight we talked about the trauma that was associated with the civil rights movement. Do you believe that we need more dialogue like the ones that we had tonight in order to heal from the civil rights movement?
Absolutely. I mean, I think it's easy to look back at a point like that in history or any kind of thing and see the leaders or the leading edge of the argument of the process. I think my family's story and my father's story is one of sort of people that were in the middle. They were everyday citizens. Was not a real premeditated thing. It just sort of happened that he was in that opportunity, and he wanted to be able to not have this situation interfere with customers shopping in his store. So he kind of was driven. So yes, talking about it's very important. He's of a generation that didn't talk a lot about things, and so it's really only kind of recently that we started talking about this story and his role in the past, which has been very valuable for us.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your story with us, Dr. Everett. I'm Vabren Watts, the Psychiatric News, live from Birmingham.